So got a really rough sketch there. You can probably barely see it, but this is, so I am going to paint the same painting with every single type. Gouache that I have, which I have 14 different ones now. So I am going, this is the first one. I know I'm going to start with the mid-range with the, or what I believe will be the mid-range, and then I'll be able to rate, I think, all the gouache that I have better and kind of decide where I want it, and it'll mix back and forth. But for right now, I just need to prepare this part, and I'm going to give it a what do you call it, a wash with indigo from my Gansai Tanbei set. So here we go. Right now I only have my practice has been mostly with the Zenacolor and the Royal Langernickel. And the Royal Langernickel is decent, but I do need to test all of them, and I'm doing this now because I want to use up the last of my Zenacolor, and I want to kind of move on from those and get those out of here so I can start testing others and painting with others. So I have, all these will be done on Canson multimedia paper, and my brushes, of course. Today it's going to be Magicfly. So Magicfly, all of the tubes are leaking this gooey, let's see if you can see it, this gooey stuff, which I think is a binder. So that's great. And I decided to go with this one because other than doing little sketches with this, I haven't done much else. Mixing with it has been kind of weird, but I have that. I have my gunk, my Stay Wet palette, or in my case I use the Army Painter palette, not the Stay Wet. Painting rags, water, everything. So here we go. I'm going to try to paint all this, and I need to figure out a better method. Actually, hold on. I decided that I have the cobalt blue, of course some titanium white, this emerald green, which dried really blue and is not emeraldy at all. This is more like a turquoise. Phthalo blue, gray, and black is what I have on here so far. I'm going to need more of these, I think, but we'll see where it goes. I'm going to start with the sky. I do like how it dries. I love how these mountains are turning out. But I do have, like, the colors aren't consistent. Some flow from the brush really well, others do not, and need a lot more work. And I'm finding that working them into usable paint is causing some issues. Some of them work very well, some of them need a lot more water, and it has that no good, some of these colors have no good medium, meaning that I am adding just a tiny bit of water at a time in order to try to thin them down, and I very easily tip over into watercolor territory, completely ruining what I'm trying to do when I'm trying to layer the gouache. So it is what it is, but I wanted to finish this one so I could move on. And as I do these, I'm going to be ranking these. So the Magicfly is going to be the baseline because this is the one that I chose first, right? So if we say right now, compared to how I use, I think I'm going to put this at a 3. And I'll work out a whole scoring system at the end of this that I'll show you. But here we go. I'm going to try to finish this out tonight. I hope I have enough time to. If not, then I'll have to come back to it again, but we'll see where we go. So here's one of the annoying things I'm finding about these is that these little foam stopper things, they stick. And you have to kind of peel them off and kind of stuff them back in the tube. If you lose them or take them out, this kind of stuff happens where, like, this stuff leaks out. Looks kind of cool there. I don't know if you can see that. Will you focus for me? That looks like kind of a glass, but that's not what you're supposed to be doing with me. Anyway, that kind of stuff happens. So it gets kind of annoying, and you kind of got to peel it off carefully, sitting on everywhere, and stick it back in the teeth. how much paint do you need to get out of a tube? You need quite a bit of the Magicfly. That's one of the things that really I was a little bit disappointed in, but you do need a lot of the Magicfly to paint with. A lot. So I guess it's good that it comes in these bigger tubes, because Magicfly, you need quite a bit, and I feel like what I have, that I'm gonna be going through this pretty quickly, and just even for this small painting, this is not a very big painting, I've had to use quite a bit out of the tube, and I was hoping, actually I am gonna start the layer for that really quick, because I pulled the color dam out and I want to make sure that I do, because this is probably going to dry weird and I want it to make sure it stands out. But this is where I'm at with everything, so it was good to get painting in. I'm hoping to get more painting in as the week goes on, but we'll see. But I got pretty far. I mean, I've gotten, I was able to bring out the things. I definitely have to let and I dropped some water. Recently. God. This color left to do. Because trying. Like I said, overall, I'm liking how it's turning out. I'm not hating painting with it, but it's not my best experience either. So, scoring those down, I'm going to put this in. The Magicfly is going in the 3 category for me. So that means that for tutorials and stuff, I'm going to be using this a lot more, but we'll see where it all goes. I'll be back to finish this painting, and hopefully that will be it. Okay, well, I think I'm ready to call this one done. Is there more I could do? Yeah, like the people here at the bottom are definitely not coming out yet. There's a lot more drying that needs to be done on this though before I can do too much else with it anyway, but I think I need to move on to the next paint. So let's talk about the Magicfly paint. The set that I bought and where I'm gonna rank it after all of this, right? Let's pull out Magicfly and we'll go back. Here we go. So here's the Magicfly paint, and so this is one of the things that I was running into a lot as I was painting, is that though Gur's really loud, I'm sorry, he is reclining back against me with his feet in the air, having a big snooze with his belly up. So it's hard. So you can see it dries a bit chalky. It does okay with a few things, but one of the biggest things too that I was having trouble with is that for this color palette, there is not a lot of good separation of color, and I'll talk about that more, but I wanted to show you this too because I'm going to come back to it. So where am I going to rank this? I said Zenacolor again, didn't I? Jesus. Magicfly. Magicfly came out chalky. And you can see, kind of with everything in painting, some of the things I struggled with was mixing and stuff too. So I'm going to rate this. With Zenacolor being a 0, Magicfly is going to be at a 3 for the moment. And there's a couple things that I want to do. The first one I want to talk about is just the colors themselves. The amount of colors seems fairly varied. When you start painting with them, there's almost no difference. For example, raw sienna and yellow ochre, while they look slightly different here, there's actually almost no difference. Raw sienna is a little bit darker, but when you start painting with it, it honestly is the same thing with raw umber and burnt umber. Very little difference. The colors pictured on the tubes, well, of course you can never really go with these. They were wildly different. There is no brown that looks like this in there. There's burnt sienna and the raw umber colors. There's none of this gray, yellow, brown. Emerald green is not an emerald green at all. It's kind of like a pale teal, which is, again, not a bad color, but then getting the colors you want to, that was kind of difficult. For example, with crimson, it has, they use PR2 and PR13, so this is a dual pigment. When I would get this down to, here we go, I can actually show you, because I was trying to mix it out to get the lighter touches in that eye, which you can't really see. It's purpley. It becomes a very purpley pink, and it took a lot of white to get it to come down to get to a pink, but it was still very purpley. And the scarlet red did not make the right kind of pink for what I wanted. When I was trying to lighten or even darken the green by adding blue, the blue pigments, again, they look fairly different here, but not very. The cobalt and the ultramarine actually come out very similar as you start painting, and I was trying to use the phthalo blue, and layer after layer, I took a lot of layers and adding black to it to get it darker. A lot of black. And I ended up having to use a lot of black that I really didn't want to use, and I still didn't get the dark consistency that I wanted. The gray was fun to have. I actually ended up using it a lot in this painting, and that actually helped me kind of even out some of the colors. But yeah, I was kind of getting that problem. Getting the problem with the mixing. Flow was inconsistent. So another thing that I was thinking about as I was doing these. So flow is how it flows off the brush when you're painting. That was very inconsistent. Certain colors flowed way better than others. Also with mixing, just getting it down to the right consistency. Again, that was actually very difficult. It's very easy to tip way over into watercolor territory and lose that opacity and like silkiness that gouache has. And once it dried, it was basically watercolor at that point. It didn't have that opacity anymore. When I re-wetted it, reactivated it, it basically didn't do anything. Layering did pretty good. It wasn't the best. As you can see here, I was able to get some pretty easy layers, and that actually worked too, but as I started building up the layers, that got more and more difficult. And some layers were better than others. Greens didn't layer as well, which is unfortunate because I was going for a foresty scene. The browns layered really good, but because the browns were so similar, they faded into each other. That was the other problem I was having, where the colors would fade into each other. One of the nice things about gouache, in my opinion, is how you can lay down one layer of the color and do another layer, and it should not look like a ton, unless you make it that way, a ton of brush strokes or things like that. But that became really difficult where I would add white to, say, I'd add black to, say, raw umber to get it darker, and then I'd add white to plain raw umber to get it lighter, and then when it dried, you couldn't tell. So I had to put a lot of layers on this guy, on the giant here, and that's honestly why I'm stopping now. Can't. So even on the people, I don't have a lot of room to pull this up there, but you can kind of see them down there. Picking them out has become difficult. Letting it dry and putting more layers I could probably do, but I'm just not interested. If you're just learning, like I am, I mean, I'll continue to paint with these. They weren't horrible to paint with. And just learning, I don't think it's bad. It took about 3 sessions to do this painting, which isn't too bad. But I didn't feel like also to get the effects that I wanted, it was taking overly long. So, like, for example, when I was using the Zenacolor, doing something like this tree, which I was able to do during this session, I would not be able to do with the Zenacolor. It would take me much, much longer, as I'd have to wait much longer for the layers to dry. And that's without adding anything to it. Like, these I actually have stuff added to this. I'm using my gunk with these to get them, because they dry pretty quickly, which is a good thing. So yeah, I'm gonna set this as a 3 for now, and say, yeah, if you're just starting out and you want some gouache, this would probably be a good brand to try. But we're holding out. So that's where I am with this one. And let's do the fun part. This tape that I bought, like, is like the worst washi tape I've ever had. I don't know. I had to keep taping it down, and that's not my favorite thing, so I'm going to take that off in layers and then hope. I remember how I put it down. It just, like, usually when you're using washi tape and you get it wet, it like sticks better, but this stuff didn't. And I don't know if it's because of the surface. I might try some different washi tape for the next one, because this surface is kind of smooth. Oops, there we go. Okay, here we go. Oh gosh, it's gonna, oh no. It's gonna tear, it's tearing the paper. Oh gosh, it's tearing the paper. There we go, there we go. It's not too bad. It's so tearing the paper. It's pulling like the first. It's pulling the first layer of the paper, so I have to go really slow. That's not good. I might have to look up some stuff. Well, I got a good edge on that one though. It is cracking the paint a little bit, but not too bad. Oh gosh. It pulled like the top layer off of the page. Oh, I painted a, no wonder it was sticky on the side. The tape is barely off the edge at all. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh no. It tore the paper, it tore the thing. Okay, let's see. Oh my gosh. Okay. Stop. Now it's pulling up paper. Okay. Wow, that blue really got under there. Yeah, I'm not. Oh, it sucks. Oh, it's truth. Never had this happen with washi tape before. I've been warned though. I learned my lesson. Let's see if I can get it off the side. Okay, here we go. Stop tearing the paper. Okay. Alright, well that sucked. There we go. That's not... It's not the best painting, but it's a painting. And I did it. Yay! Alright. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. Magicfly, yeah. I think for gouache, it's okay. Oh, that was the other thing. Separation. It totally separates. I showed this in the last video. So separation is pretty big, and it leaks right out of the tubes and becomes this hard, like, I don't know. But that's happening in all the tubes now. So I don't know how long the paint's going to last in the tubes either. You have to use a lot of paint, which is a good thing they give you these pretty big tubes, because if it were like these guys, like, I'd be sad. This would already be gone if it were like these little whole tubes. But yeah, there we go. Hope you enjoyed.